The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law. Happy weekend to you. As always, we are here live. To answer your questions, I will leave the phone number on the screen during the entire program, 321-282-1055. I do it, as always, with my beautiful co-host, Michaela Nichols. Hello, Michaela. How are you today?
Great.
You are here to be the voice of the people. You are not a lawyer. I am a lawyer. You ask the questions the people at home are thinking. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
And I think we're going to set a record for questions for you today.
We'll see. I mean, if you let me talk, that's always the challenge.
I'm going to say over, under. I mean, it is holiday or football season. I'd say over, under 5 questions for you. What do you think?
I have a feeling you're going to talk too much, so
I have
maybe
a feeling
2.
you're going to ask what over, under means.
Yeah. Let's just move on. Go ahead.
Great show ahead for you today. Family law, custody battles. Great questions that come with that, okay? You might have questions about family law. Also, first-party insurance claims. Excellent show just ahead. Stick around. Quick break. Behind the Law continues. Does credit card debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your credit card debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Welcome back to the show. Family law, a question, an area of law that really can be kind of nasty. You know, when I think about my law firm, it's like, do I want to do family law? I've been too afraid to get married myself, let alone deal with family law, because it's a very emotional area of law. Michael Ferrin joins me. You're an attorney that handles family law cases. What are we seeing out there, Michael? Are family law cases up, down, or divorces up, down since the pandemic? What are you seeing?
Well, we had a slight bump in divorces around the time of the pandemic, just because people were kind of stuck
forced to be together.
Yep.
Sense.
But we do see a downward trend in marriage generally over the last few years, and an upward trend in children being born out of wedlock.
As people are going through a divorce, how often do you see them kind of at the last second or along the way cancel the divorce? You know what? We found love again. We're going to get back together.
Very rarely. I'd say.
Is that right?
Very rarely. I'd say maybe a handful of times where I've had that happen. A lot of times what we do have is you'll have a protracted divorce and it settles, in the court, courthouse steps. Usually just outside the courtroom, we're able to get it settled. That does happen actually quite often. But I would say getting back together doesn't happen very often. Yeah.
Custody is something that obviously people fight about a lot. It's how much time do I get with the kids versus my ex. How does a court determine custody and parenting plans?
That's a tough one. That's why they make the big bucks. It's difficult because, usually, most often, you do have two parents they love their children very much. And it's just a question of looking at the details of what's best for the child. There's multiple factors the court considers. But generally speaking, a lot of the surrounding counties in Central Florida have become more progressive lately. And they are leaning more towards equal time sharing for dads and moms. So it just comes to a question of most of the time is logistics, work schedules, things of that nature that do play a major role in the time sharing schedule. And
how do we determine child support? Like, does the dad pay? Does the mom pay? How much? How is child support determined?
It's an algorithm. So us attorneys, we usually went to law school so we wouldn't have to do math. But we do a lot of math in this area, and it really comes down to the parties' incomes, how many overnights they have with their children, and it's an overnight for the year. So a lot of people ask us, well, I have the summer. Do I still have to pay child support for the summer? Yes, you do, because it's based on a yearly total. But incomes, overnights, health insurance, daycare expenses all get rolled into there.
What about marriages in general? It seems like I'm seeing more people out there who are not getting married, who have kids, maybe living together. Are you seeing more families that are not getting married?
We do see that actually quite often. And what people don't understand is when you have a child out of wedlock, specifically with the father has no rights. They don't exist until they're established by the court. And so we do have on occasion individuals that are living together as husband and wife, but they're not married. Florida is not a common law marriage state, so there is no marriage there. And so what we do is sometimes we'll just establish paternity. We'll enter a court order establishing paternity as to father and just reserving on time sharing, reserving on child support, and that way his rights are established. And in the event that doesn't work out for whatever reason, dad still can move forward with his rights where he wouldn't be able to do that previously.
If people aren't married and they have a child out of wedlock, does the father still have to pay as much money as like the father who, let's say was married?
No, it has to come down with when they get divorced. But no, it's the same. The calculations are the same for if a party's going through a divorce versus a child born out of wedlock. Calculations are the same for both individuals.
How often have you seen someone come to your office and say, look, I'm thinking about getting married, Michael, but I want to get a prenup. I've heard all these prenups, and prenups are fantastic. You're like, dude, you don't really have a lot to worry about yet. Right. I mean, at what point do I need to get a prenup?
So a lot of people, I usually recommend prenups if you believe that you're going to be either a high income earner, or you're going to be getting assets coming around the corner, or you already have assets and you already are an high income earner. Because people don't understand that even if you have assets that you had maybe before you were getting married, those assets generally are being non-marital assets. But if you pay the mortgage during the marriage, if you make improvements on the house during the marriage, you pay the taxes, you live in the home, those are all things that create marital interests in non-marital property, and people don't understand that. And so you get in a lot of situations where somebody had a home that was paid for, or let's say they had a mortgage on it before they got married. They paid the mortgage while they were married. The wife is not on the home. Let's say this was the husband's. Well, the wife has an interest in that home, or possible interest in that home, and people don't realize that kind of stuff. Any money you make during the marriage is generally marital. So these are all things that with prenups, you're knocking all that stuff out. You're structuring how it's going to be addressed when you get divorced. And really, we can handle almost anything in a prenup except for child issues. There are things that we can put in there that relate to children, like if somebody's going to fight a 50-50 time sharing or something like that, that there's some provisions that we can address there. But otherwise, time sharing, child support, can't put that in prenups. But assets, liabilities, income, all that can be addressed in a prenup.
Is it almost negative? Oh, thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
It's all you. The floor is yours.
Is it almost like a negative connotation for someone to be like, hey, let's get a prenup? Because that's kind of like you're already talking about divorce, without saying that.
I would say it's probably a difficult conversation to have, but if you do have assets, I think it's a conversation you really should have, because when it comes to these types of laws, really people are very, very surprised with how easily things can get commingled, assets can become marital, and so prenups are very helpful.
Okay, your turn. Thank you.
Do you always recommend a prenup?
Not always.
Okay.
So like you said, if you really don't expect to have a lot of assets, or you don't have any already, it's not always the best fit for people, but in most cases, it can be very helpful.
And then let's say it's me. Let's say I come into your office and say, look, I'm getting married, Michael. I want to get a prenup. I definitely want to get one, but I don't know how to talk to her about getting the prenup. What advice would you give me for going home and saying, honey, I love you. Can't wait to get married. I got some documents here to sign.
Right, so you probably don't want to throw the documents out at first.
Okay.
You probably want to have a conversation with her.
Don't bring them to the dinner. Okay,
maybe have some wine involved.
Yes.
But I mean, it's a tough one. I've never had that conversation, so I couldn't tell you. And I'm married myself. I don't have a prenup. But no, I mean, it's one of those things. It is a difficult discussion. But I think that if you address it properly, it might go a little smoother if you than just showing up with some stack of papers saying, here, sign it.
So don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Michael Ferrin joins us, family law attorney here in the Orlando market, 321-282-1055 if you have any family law questions whatsoever. Here's something I hear a lot of, Michael, is that, all right, so let's say you have 2 kids, a wife, and we're splitting up. We want to. What did that singer say? Come on, Chris and the actress.
This is funny.
Conscious
no, go ahead.
decoupling. We're going to consciously decouple. Isn't that what they said?
I have no idea.
We're getting divorced.
Nobody has any idea.
All right, we're getting divorced. I want the house. No. Right. I'm going to stay in the house. Who determines who stays in the house during this process?
Right. So you're talking about like a time of separation.
Yeah.
Right. So unless you file a court action, you're at each other's.
Really.
It's really it. Because I mean, there's no. If you guys own the house, you guys both have equal interest in the home, so nobody can tell, like husband can't tell the wife to leave, wife can't tell the husband to leave. And unfortunately, when it gets that acrimonious, we see a lot of domestic violence issues coming up and stuff. So you got to be real careful with that. But that's something the court addresses. And I really tell people that if you're in that situation where it's becoming acrimonious, people are not getting along, it really helps to get the divorce filed, because then that way we can help take action, get temporary relief, get the case moving forward and get those issues addressed.
A lot of people say, you know what, I don't even feel like getting divorced. It just takes too long. And I know this is a loaded question, but how long, generally speaking, does a divorce case take?
It depends on the parties.
Yeah.
All right. So, but generally speaking, I'd say 8 months to a year on an average divorce.
Right.
Sometimes when they get more litigious, we've had some more litigious cases take more than a couple of years to get divorced. But I'd say on average about 8 months to a year. Uncontested divorces. Now that's if you come to me and you've already spoken with your wife or significant other and you guys have agreed on everything, we can usually get you divorced in about 45 days. So it's a huge difference between uncontested versus a contested action.
How often does an uncontested divorce become contested?
Usually not.
Really?
Usually not. No, usually when somebody comes to me with an uncontested divorce, we're able to just get it done.
Does uncontested mean like no arguing?
Correct.
Okay.
That means that, there was already discussion with the wine and stuff, and everybody is on board with what we're doing with the kids, what we're doing with the house, the cars, and we just basically draw everything up, make sure the transfers are occurring the way they should be, dealing with retirement accounts and stuff, and then calculating child support, parenting plans. We handle all the details.
And is that a rare occurrence when you see an uncontested divorce?
No.
Or it seems like there wouldn't be that many of those. But
no, that does happen.
Okay.
Quite often. Yeah.
Really? Even without a prenup?
Even without a prenup, it does happen quite often.
It
usually happens.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens a lot when they see how much a contested divorce can cost.
Yes, of
and
course.
how long it takes.
Very
'Cause
expensive.
Another thing too is, you have to understand when people are getting a divorce, that relationship is ending. But for people that have children, that relationship is not completely ending. They're always going to be parents for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And so going through a protracted divorce really takes a toll on that relationship. And so in that type of situations, it's usually better. I mean, I'd say it's all the times better, but it's better to try and reach a resolution if you can when you're dealing with children. I always tell people, do you want a stranger you've never met in your life to tell you what to do with your children? And you think about it and you're like, no, of course not. Well, that's exactly what you're doing when you're getting a divorce and you're dealing with children. You're asking a stranger you've never met to tell you how to raise your children and how to spend time with your children.
Right.
And it seems crazy, but that's exactly what you're doing.
Unbelievable. Michael Ferrin, excellent job today.
Thank
if you need a family law attorney, divorce, custody, give them a call. 321-282-1055. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, our good buddy Greg Krak is back. You have 3 questions to go at least, I think, to break even, right?
Yeah, I do.
We're going to talk about first-party insurance claims. Your roof is leaking. Your house is having issues. What do you do to make that insurance company pay you the money that you deserve to fix your house? As Behind the Law continues. Unique area of law. We'll do so after this quick break as Behind the Law continues. Does student loan debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your monthly payments. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. If you own a house that is your most valuable possession, you need to know what windows you have. Why don't you think about your windows? Do you have any idea that your windows really dictate your electricity bill every single month? There's one place to turn in this community for windows in your house, and it's certainly Renewal by Anderson. Dan Brigman joins me. You're family to me at this point, let's be honest. I love you, I love your family. But the Renewal by Anderson family is what makes you so trustworthy. The culture there, it's a family.
Absolutely, Justin. And by the way, glad to be here. And yeah, it's our people, it's our process, it's our product, but it's our people more than anything. When we come out to your house, it's all about you. It's about we're going to treat your home as if it's our own. We're going to do the same with your family.
I put a QR code on the screen for you, and Dan is offering you an unbelievable deal today. If you go to the QR code, you're going to send an email. What do they get?
Man, you buy one window, get 40% off the next, almost unheard of. We're excited.
Unbelievable. And then you talk about the electricity bill, because windows, I don't think people understand how important the windows are to the electricity bill every month, and the electricity bills are skyrocketing.
It's extremely important, and glass in your house takes up over 25% of the square footage of your wall space in your home. So that's the equivalent of one full wall in your house. Imagine sun hitting that all day long and all of that heat coming in.
A lot of people think window replacement would be very expensive. Sometimes we can do it for free. When you think about monthly payment over time, no interest, the money you save on your electricity bill, it's free.
Absolutely. By the time you put all the factors together, the energy savings, the curb appeal, the resale value, all of these things just add up. And then you got the financing that we have going on right now. Zero interest, 2.9, things that you just don't see anymore.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you own a house, thank you, Dan, as always. If you own a house, you need to send us a message right now. You will not be disappointed. Renewal by Anderson. Do IRS threats have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Krak and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your IRS debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Welcome back to the show. Many of you have asked me lately, what do I do about my house? My roof is leaking. My insurance company does not want to pay. I've got all these issues in my house, but I feel badly, Justin, about having to sue my insurance company. I wouldn't. I don't need you to feel badly about that. Greg Krak is here, our first-party insurance expert. People do feel badly sometimes. I'm not a sue-happy guy. I don't want to go around suing everyone, and I can understand that. I don't want to go around suing everyone either. And you must hear that when people come into your office. Okay, my roof is leaking, but I don't really feel like suing the insurance company. They denied it. I mean, what do you tell someone when they feel that way?
I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. One of the first things they tell me, they're like, look, I'm just not, like you said, I'm not the sue type person,
Right.
because there's this stigma that's attached to it that they're just money hungry, and that they file a lawsuit anytime they fall in a grocery store or something like that. And that's not really the case. This is your home. This is one of your largest assets. In order to repair it based on storm damage or some type of other damage that may be covered under your policy, sometimes you don't have any choice. I always advise people, if they're going to hire me, we're going to try and void the courthouse. We're going to try and void a lawsuit. We'll try and resolve that dispute with your insurance company as best we can, and of course litigation is the last resort, as always.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I understand your feeling of you don't want to sue, I get that, but the insurance company doesn't care about you. Number one, they really don't. No offense, they're running a business. They do not care about you. And I think the greatest example for me of how an insurance company doesn't care about us is when these insurance companies go into liquidation. So you've been paying your premium, and this happens in auto, it happens in all sorts of insurance areas. But you've been paying for your insurance premiums, and all of a sudden your insurance company essentially goes out of business, and the state kind of takes over, and then you're left holding the bag. What happens in these situations when these insurance companies literally go out of business?
You can still pursue your claim if you have one already, if it's pending, or if you're in a lawsuit that gets placed on hold for a short while. But then the state-run agency, FIGA, takes over. And they're basically stepping into the shoes of the insurance company that just went insolvent. And you still can't pursue it, but you're playing by a different set of rules that are more favorable to FIGA and against the property owner. So it's a little bit tougher, and it usually takes longer to get a resolution. So the answer is, you still can't pursue it, it's just more difficult.
Got it.
Is it better to go with like a big box insurance kind of company when it comes to your house, or like not really?
There's not an insurance company out there where I'd say, yes, they're great. Go with them. They always cover your claims.
Yeah.
And not all claims are covered. Some simply aren't covered by the policy. But I would say I would talk with your insurance agent. Say, look, if your insurance agent has been in business for a while, what have you seen as far as claims that are usually covered compared to not, and how they're treating their clients? But like you said, Justin, insurance companies aren't out for your best interest. I mean, I've had so many clients come to me and said, I've been with X, Y, and Z insurance company for 20 years. My cars are with them, my boats are with them. Said, sorry, they don't care. They really don't. They like taking your premiums. They're a little stingy on paying out, but sometimes you have to fight them.
I think that's a really good point, though. Your insurance agent, kind of the local guy or gal you've been using for years, can they have an impact on how your claim is handled through the big insurance company they connected you with?
Typically not.
Okay.
I have seen some agents, though, that go to bat for the homeowner or for the commercial property owner. A lot of times, though, they don't want to get involved. Look, I'm certainly not an expert on agency law. I don't know how they handle it, because they have a duty to the property owner, but also they have a duty to the insurance company that they're selling insurance for. So they're kind of stuck in the middle. I've seen a lot of them that will not go to bat for their property owner, and some will. Sometimes they can have an impact, but usually I would say no.
It's weird because now we are 2023, and back in the day, if you had an issue with your bank, you walk into the local branch and you talk to the manager. Seems like now you have an issue with the bank, you walk into the branch, they say call the 1-800 number, just like we would. Insurance in some ways has gone that direction as well, where most insurance now you get just by calling the 1-800 number, but I still think there are these local agencies out there who might, have some relationships there to help you with that claim. But generally speaking, I think probably not. In fact, a lot of these agents are captive agents. So if, let's say you're a captive agent for State Farm, you're running all of your insurance through State Farm, an independent agency can kind of move it around. But I would have to think that, they're getting all their business with State Farm. They're not going to necessarily go to fight for you when all their business is coming from State Farm.
That is correct. There are a few out there that are captive agents, like you mentioned. So those agents, they're not going to be able to help you at all. They can try and help communicate your complaints or your issues to the actual insurance adjuster for State Farm, but they're not going to go to State Farm when they're an employee and say, look, you guys should have covered that claim.
Right.
They're at the mercy of the adjuster, whatever decision they make. So they're not going to go to bat for you in that captive agent situation that you just mentioned.
So let's say we have filed a claim now. My roof has been leaking for a while. How long does it normally take for the insurance company to get an adjuster out there to really evaluate what's going on with my roof?
With the hurricane claims, it's definitely, they're backed up. Mm-hmm. There's delays that are going on right now. But the law in Florida is from the time you report the claim, they need to give you a decision whether they're going to cover the claim or deny it within 90 days.
Okay.
Now, of course, with all laws, there's a caveat to that, saying unless they ask you for information or documentation that you don't provide to them, and then it's out of their control, is what kind of law says. But it gives them an out, like a lot of laws do, for the insurance companies. And some recent changes in the law reduced that time from 90 days to 60 days. So they're supposed to give you that decision, again, under the newer law within 60 days. But I'm hearing from clients right now saying we haven't heard from our insurance company. It's been past the 90 days, and in these laws, it doesn't give any punishment to the insurance company.
So they can do whatever they want.
So they're supposed to under the law within 90 days, but if they don't, it's like,
nothing
sorry.
you can do. There's no
Correct.
real spanking you can give them for exceeding that 90 days.
Nope.
Unbelievable. So, all right, finally they get back to me and say, okay, we have coverage for your roof here, and we think it's going to cost $17,000 to replace your roof. But I go and get quotes and estimates, and it's really $35,000. What do I do in that situation?
Call me.
Okay. And then and that makes sense, actually. And I call you, but I'm afraid because I don't have a whole lot of money sitting around. I've had to buy all of these tarps. I don't have 10 grand to pay you up front. How does it work when I hire you?
And let me take a step back.
Okay.
I kind of jumped a little too far ahead. First thing you should do is give your quotes from these other roofing contractors to your insurance adjuster. Say, look, I've asked not just one roofing company, but 3, and they're all around $30,000, and you're telling me it's only going to cost $17,000. The insurance company isn't replacing your roof. So the market value to replace that roof, in fact, is around $30,000. Then see how they respond. If they still say, nope, sorry, this is how much we're giving you, and that's it, then you can contact my office, and you don't need to pay me money up front as the law sits right now. As you know, some legal changes were made to our insurance laws back in December. That may change going forward, but if your claim was prior to December 16th of 2022, then the old laws will apply, and you don't need to pay me up front. I'll take a look at things for free. If I think you may have a claim or you're owed more money, or that denial was inappropriate or improper, then you can hire me and we'll go after them, and I only get paid if we win the case.
How often do you see spreads like this? Is this a common thing for the insurance company to say one number, but then all of the estimates I'm getting are saying something totally different?
It is common, yes. Not only about the difference in the amounts, but the scope of damage is a lot of times in dispute.
Right.
The roofing company that comes out to the property owner's house will say, look, this roof is shot from the storm damage, the whole thing needs to be replaced. The insurance adjuster for the insurance company will say, nope, we can repair it. It's only a $6,000, $7,000 repair, and oh, by the way, that's below your hurricane deductible, we owe you nothing. So there's disputes about scope and amounts all the time.
Got it. And a lot of times it's hard to find even shingles that match at some point, isn't it? And then you have to replace the whole thing.
That is true. In fact, there's a statute in Florida based on matching solely. There's a law that talks about that says, look, you're entitled to have your home or your business look the way it did before the storm damage. So No one wants a checkerboard looking roof with different colors, and a lot of times your homeowners association won't allow that to begin with.
Right, exactly.
So that is an argument that the homeowner has, and rightfully so, that's saying, look, if we can't match it up, I can't have my roof looking like this for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Absolutely. Greg Krak, great job as always. Any sort of insurance claim, he is your man. 321-282-1055. Don't go with the first offer they give you. That's all there is to it. Quick break. We'll be right back with What Did We Learn? Does student loan debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your monthly payments. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. If you own a house, you can imagine the roof is probably the most important part of your house. You see a leak, this is a very bad day for you. We have a lot of bad roofing companies out there. We call them storm chasers, in fact. Universal Roofing Contracting joins me. Justin, Corey, you guys are not storm chasers. You've been around for many, many years in this market and really the best in the business and Hall of Fame guest for me as well. What I've done, though, is I put a QR code on the screen for you. All you have to do is scan your phone on the QR code, and we're getting 15% off free roof inspection. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so it's a 15% off a full roof replacement. We do offer free inspections. What you do is you just give us a call, schedule an appointment. We will show up on time as scheduled, provide a free full point inspection, share photos with you, and let you know exactly what you're looking at, what your options are, and decide which path to walk you down. But ultimately, we're going to approach roofing whatever serves you the best.
A lot of people are in this black hole of fighting with their insurance company, their attorney, the public adjuster, whatever, and literally have a tarp on their roof for 2-3 years sometimes while everyone fights it out. The roof is important. If you don't address your roof issue now, damage can occur in your house. What can happen?
Oh, I mean, mold is probably one of the biggest, we have homeowners that have to move out of their property for months at a time just to get the mitigation done of the mold, So if you're seeing any of those brown spots in the ceiling, if you see a missing shingle in the yard, granule loss, any of those are great reasons for us to come do an inspection and kind of get ahead of that, making sure that you're not going to have those kind of issues.
When it comes to roofing, I think that trust is maybe the most important part of hiring a great roofing company. Why do I trust Universal Roofing Contracting?
Family owned, veteran owned, 3 decades in your own backyard, community roofer. Any other reasons are good as the next one. It's just we serve the community. We wear our consultant's hat first, but we're just there to serve and take care of you the best way.
Football team coming to town, I heard?
Yeah. The Orlando Guardians. We just became the official roofing partner of the new Orlando Guardians XFL team. We're super happy about that. Looking forward to a great season.
I love you guys. Do yourself a favor. Need a new roof? There's only one place. It's Universal Roof and Contracting. Do IRS threats have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your IRS debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. And as always, we wrap it up today with What Did We Learn? Michaela Nichols. What did you learn?
Justin Clark,
Yes.
I learned that you really can't trust your insurance company, but you can trust Greg Krak.
Totally agree with that. Family law, I did not know divorces were up. It seems like this whole pandemic brought us together and maybe pushed us apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, being stuck in the same house with someone can be a little challenging.
It's
I'm
not
sure.
very nice.
Well,
what?
Well, I mean,
thought
for
that
some people.
we were all back together doing puzzles together, and we would just find
puzzles
that
can get
spark
intense,
again.
So.
But apparently, the pandemic has increased the rates of divorce. Anyway, great job as always.
Thanks.
Any questions whatsoever, you know how to reach us. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week for more Behind the Law.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.